Welcome to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, where we'll talk about reviews, previews, tips, and all things betting related. Brought to you by bestsportsbetting.co.za. Now, on to our hosts.
Back to the Best Sports Betting Podcast, powered by PlayerBet, episode 42. With me is a very dejected Simon. Simon, tell us why you're an unhappy man.
Yeah, Robert, it was an absolutely brutal weekend from a betting perspective. My first non-profitable weekend in the past 2 months, but it ended up being a bloodbath. I think the only positive really was that I was staying with friends and I wasn't able to watch any sports at all, so I didn't see all my losing bets come in. But one positive is that we were spot on with the Champions League predictions, liking Real Madrid and Juventus, who both won away from home.
Yeah, pretty interesting results in the Champions League. I didn't think Juventus were going to win that one. It was I want to say, Tottenham kind of threw that one away. And then we had Man City losing to Basel, and then we also had Liverpool, not really putting in a performance in their match as well. So this just goes to show, they drew 0-0 with Porto. And it just goes to show that if a team's coming off a massive away win, don't back them when they're playing at home at the crappy
Absolutely.
Of 3-10, 1-4. I didn't expect Liverpool to win, and I didn't expect City to win. I didn't expect them to lose, but I didn't, I expected kind of a draw in both of them.
Right.
So it's something to keep an eye on moving forward. Even though we don't have too much Champions League left.
I did manage to catch some tennis on Sunday when I got home. Djokovic lost in straight sets to Taro Daniel.
It's world number 109 or something, huh?
Yeah, 109, that's right. We've talked about this before, but I don't think we're ever going to see Djokovic of old again. His movement around the court was terrible, and he has an incredible backhand down the line, which is usually like pinpoint accurate. So it was spraying everywhere. It was really terrible. And then in the ladies, I also saw a really interesting match. The number one seed, Simona Halep. She actually lost the first set 6-1.
Yeah. She
lost the first set 6-1, to American Caroline Dollarhide. And she did come back and win the match, but it was a real brutal match, real grueling match. I didn't expect her to struggle there. She was a 1.05 favorite to win that, so it was just a real struggle for Halep to get it done in the end.
I wonder what she would have been after losing the first set in play. But
Halep was around 1.6 to win the match. But I can tell you what, if I'd taken that bet, obviously I would have won it, but I would have been nervous almost all the way to the end. I don't necessarily think there was much value in Halep there, even though she, obviously she has to be the favorite. That would have been a rocky road taking that in play, I tell you.
Yeah, and then, rugby was full of upsets as well. We had France beating England. We liked the England handicap there.
Mm-hmm.
We had the Lions losing to the Blues, which I think is, almost as big as an upset as the England game. And, otherwise, not too much. I guess, we did have a chat about the Crusaders-Canes game. Look, the Canes were favorites in the game. It doesn't mean that we kind of were on the right side, but, we all thought we were on the right side with the value and form and whatnot. But, obviously the travel factor wasn't that much of an issue, and Canes the Crusaders rather, didn't put in that much of a performance. It wasn't a bad performance, but deserved to lose that bet. It wasn't one of those.
I
didn't regret.
I looked at the stat sheet this morning with that game because I just wanted to see, what transpired really. And I thought maybe they possibly, the Crusaders were kind of unlucky to lose that match, but certainly not. The Canes certainly had the better of them on the day.
Yeah, and then
the Lions threw away a big lead against the Blues. From what I read about the match, it sounds like the Lions were kind of trying to rush that game unnecessarily and sort of trying to hang back on their comfortable lead, and they had about 20-point lead of 5, I think, if I remember correctly.
Imagine the odds you would have gotten on the Blues then.
Yeah.
And then Premier League weekend, not too much to talk about. Arsenal continue their, I want to say, good form, but against a very small team. Look, I had a losing bet on AC Milan. Very surprised to see that one lose. If it had been a draw, I would have taken it on the chin, but I didn't see that happening. Then United coming through with a 2-1 win over Liverpool. Once again, nothing really to write home about, but you said you were quite impressed with United's intent, going forward, and maybe it's a change of tactics from Mourinho.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, if you've watched enough of these games, you kind of expect Mourinho to hang back, and nick a win or even get a nil or draw. I mean, he obviously started a 15-10 favorite in this match, which is quite big odds considering they've only lost one game at home. And, there was still more money for Liverpool, and they actually closed 19-10 underdogs before kickoff, which, as I said, was kind of hard to disagree with, Liverpool being a lot more of a form team at the moment. So I was very happy to get with Liverpool there and obviously then see the money come for Liverpool and get good odds. But obviously this time the market was actually incorrect, and obviously United ended up 2-1 winners.
No, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, it is football, so. But then we're on to the Champions League where, a couple interesting results with, some of the big teams not performing after, big first leg wins. And, just talking about that, we've got some Champions League this week where Beşiktaş, the side who I'm not going to ever pronounce correctly, the Turkish side
Beşiktaş,
there we go, playing Bayern. And Bayern are coming off a 5-0 drubbing of them in Germany. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see a result here for the Turkish side. And I know it sounds absolutely crazy, but what are Bayern going to do? They're not going to put out their first team players. Look, they've pretty much won the league. So why really bother? Beşiktaş aren't playing terribly badly at home. So I think it might be worth having a little stab on that. Not really as a best bet, but you're getting 4-1 on
you're absolutely right, Rob.
So.
That's exactly where I was going with the Champions League as well. I mean, it's taking the same sort of tactic as with Liverpool, where they didn't need to win the game. This is built into the odds slightly, but I don't believe it's ever weighed up enough. So if you look at the fact that Bayern Munich were 1.12 favorites, and now they're nearly 4 times the price, shows you that the bookmakers have considered that they've qualified already, but probably not enough. I mean, they could easily get a draw here. And I mean, if you take them on the plus, if you take Besiktas on the +1 Asian handicap, that means that if they lose by a goal, you still get your full stake returned. And that's at even money, which I think is fantastic. So, even if they do lose, so obviously the double chance, you wouldn't be covered there. But if you have the +1 on the Asian handicap, then even if they lose by a goal, you're still going to get your full stake return. So I think definitely Besiktas is the way to go there, siding with them in one way or another.
Yeah, I think I'll be having a little nibble on the double chance there at 15-10. I think that's where we are. And it's more just fading Bayern, than anything else. They've got a pretty big one on Wednesday, the same day as that game. It's Barcelona-Chelsea. And I was pretty shocked to see how short Barcelona were priced. I mean, they were fairly lucky to get a result out of the first game. And they're sitting at just under 4-10 favorites. And I think that's a bit flattering considering they're playing a pretty decent Chelsea side who I'll probably look at, also be backing on the double chance. I mean, you're getting almost 2-1 on the double chance there. So would you really want to not take that 2-1? Just value wise, it just screams value to me.
Sure. Yeah.
Your thoughts on that? Anything?
Look, I think Barcelona have looked really, really fantastic the last few weeks in domestically. They looked brilliant against Atletico. So I agree with you. I think it is short. I don't really want to get with Chelsea playing Barcelona away from home.
It's
somewhere I won't go.
I'd take that and take the Barcelona straight win.
Yeah, absolutely. But I certainly won't say there's any value in Barcelona, but I won't be back in Chelsea there.
Okay, then our other 2 earlier Champions League fixtures is United against Sevilla and Roma against Shakhtar. I don't think we're going to chat much about the Roma game. But Sevilla, United should have lost that game like 3-0 when they played away from home to Sevilla. So I'm once again quite surprised to see them as such heavy favourites. Look, it's Old Trafford, they're playing at home, but come on, you're giving me like you got
to remember that the Old Trafford fans have just seen United beat Liverpool. That's a huge boost of confidence. So I agree with you. I thought United did look a bit short there, but I just worry about, in terms of fading United, I worry about the confidence factor that they're going into this game with, personally.
Yeah, and once again, I'm looking at the double chance in Sevilla at 15-10, which is very, very tempting. And I'm just having a quick look at some of the stats from the match they played a few weeks ago. Sevilla had 25 shots to United.
Yeah.
They had 54% possession, doesn't tell you much there, but 8 shots on target. United literally had no answer for them. The keeper made 8 saves. They were just fouling all over the park. It was a dominant display by Sevilla, and I'm kind of expecting them to upset the apple cart here. And I wouldn't be surprised if United win this one in overtime or on penalties or something if it's 0-0.
Sure.
But I think I'm going to be taking a little sprinkle on Sevilla, even with United coming off the win against Liverpool. It's quite a difficult one to really back United. So that's why I like the value on Sevilla. I think they have been the better team, and yes, United are the form team, but I'd rather back a team.
Oh yeah, I
United.
wouldn't say they're the form team. They're just beating Liverpool. But yeah, so I wouldn't go that far. But the only reason I agree with you, I think that United are a bit short down. I'm just a little bit worried about the confidence they're going to get going into this match after beating Liverpool, because that was although it was a sort of coin toss game, I think that was quite a shocking result for some. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that game.
Yeah, then the Premier League this weekend is just full of postponements and abandonments and all of those things.
Yeah.
I wonder how many more of these games are going to be postponed and abandoned, and the ones that have been sort of postponed and abandoned are, I don't want to say the better games, but the teams, the better sides, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Yes.
Those sort of things. You've got Man City on Sunday, United also postponed. So I think the only team that hasn't been postponed is Liverpool, and they're playing away from home. Is that game going to be postponed? Don't know.
I'm not sure.
Sorry. They're playing at home to Watford.
Yeah, I just looked at that card and I just thought postponed, so I'm just going to leave this alone. I thought we won't talk about that today. I think it's a bit of a minefield.
Definitely. So let's just jump straight into some Super Rugby.
Sure.
We've got a pretty decent set of fixtures this week, I must say. It starts off quite nicely with the Chiefs and the Bulls on Friday, and the Bulls are just so trash on the road. It's hard to look past anything other than a comprehensive Chiefs win. The handicap's pretty big. It's 18 round there. I think they're going to cover that quite easily. I think the Bulls are in for a bit of a drubbing this week.
Yeah, I thought it was quite a tough card. I must say, the last 2 weeks, I mean, not that I had a winner this week, but I thought the past 2 weeks, quite a few bets stood out to me. There was only one really which stood out to me, and it's quite a square pick, I think, but I have to like the Rebels at 9-10 to beat the Waratahs in Sydney. I mean, the Tars have been pretty awful so far this season, and they've just travelled to Argentina, and they've lost. They obviously lost to the Jaguares, and now they face, a Melbourne team on 3 straight wins who are, I mean, I know it's early days, but, they're top of the log in Super Rugby. And they were very comfortable wins at that. So,
yeah.
Until the Rebels face a team of any real caliber, I don't see any reason not to fade them. To fade them. And, especially at these sort of prices against mediocre opposition like the Tars, I think a pick'em game, in Sydney looks to be a little bit of value with the Rebels there. So I'll take the Rebels at 9-10 to beat the Waratahs.
Okay, then some other games that I quite fancy is Stormers Blues. I think that, the Blues beat the Lions. I think there's going to be a bit of overreaction to that. Do I think the Blues are good enough to beat the Stormers? Yes, but you're going to be giving me, basically a pick 'em at Newlands. I'm going to be taking the Stormers there. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I don't think it's going to be lovely, but plus 2.5. I think you can get in some places 7-10. Can't not take that. I don't want to call the Blues a form team because they'd essentially lost that game. They'd lost by all rights. They'd lost that game against the Lions.
Sure,
the Lions
sure.
let them in, and the Stormers aren't going to do that. And look, the Stormers are definitely nowhere near as good as the Lions, but I think if the Blues had lost that game, this handicap would have been 3 points bigger than what it is.
Totally agreed.
And then Lions Sunwolves, the best team in SA against the worst team in Super Rugby. I don't think there's going to be too much there. I mean, look, the handicap's 35.5. Do I want to take 35.5? No. Do I want to take the plus 35.5? I don't want to take that either. So,
well, you can be absolutely sure that that the Lions are gonna really want to bounce back after that loss. That's a huge number. I can't take that number either way, but you can be sure that they're not gonna. They're going to really want to really come back. So that's a game I won't bet, but interesting to see what number they do cover at the end.
It's a massive number, and it's almost good to sort of back the dogs in those situations because most of the time that number is going to be coming in on the plus. But then again, the Lions are coming off that loss, and the Sunwolves came off against a or coming off a reasonable performance against the Sharks. I mean, look, they're a terrible team, but they still put up a couple of points. But
well, if you look at the way. If you look at the way the Sharks bounced back, I mean, just obviously they were not huge favourites against the Waratahs. They were 5.5 or 6-point favourites against the Waratahs. They bounced back against the Sunwolves. So there's no reason why the Lions can't. So they probably will cover that number. But yeah, that's not a bet I'll take.
Definitely not. And then the big match of the weekend, I think, is the Highlanders versus the Crusaders. Now the Crusaders find themselves as favourites here, slight favourites, 1.5 points. It's going to be an interesting match. I'm not going to be having a bet on it. It's on Saturday morning, which is nice. There's nothing better than waking up and well, not for you, but for us South Africans, there's nothing better than waking up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday, slapping the TV on, and getting some quality rugby in. I'm not going to take a position on this game. I think there probably is going to be some value on the Highlanders, just because they're playing at home. The Crusaders, they weren't impressive against the Canes.
Yeah, look, it's a tough one because, the Crusaders weren't, or they might have ended up 1-point favourites maybe against the Hurricanes in Wellington, but it wasn't exactly an upset that they lost. I certainly thought the Crusaders would win that, but it wasn't an upset that they lost. And now they go play a Highlanders team who've won fairly comfortably at home, and they are a pretty good home team. But this is such a coin flip game for me. It's probably, if I had one stay away game and you said to me like, you only allowed not to bet one game, I think I would take this one. I don't have an opinion here. Really tough.
I have a lean towards the Highlanders here. They've been solid, they've been consistent. You look at who the teams have beaten. So before last week, the Crusaders had beaten the Stormers by 17 points, which I think narrowly, I think they might have missed the cap by maybe
I think by half a point, maybe. Yeah.
And then you had the Highlanders playing the Stormers and also beating them by 18 points. You had the Highlanders beating the Blues by 7. And you look at who the Crusaders have played, the only impressive win has sort of been the one against the Chiefs. And, it wasn't too much to write home about either.
Oh, I mean, that game could have gone either way, most definitely.
Yeah. It was that card, basically, that I think was a red card that decided the game. So if you're going to be giving me over even money on the Highlanders, I think I'll be taking a little bit of it. Not too much, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my leans. And then we've got a couple Six Nations matches: Italy, Scotland, England, Ireland, Wales, France. None of those really catch my interest. I think the competition is basically.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Look, because the competition's basically done. But I mean, England, Ireland is.
It's a big game, but I mean.
Yeah. Look, it's a picking game, as you might expect. Look, I can't help thinking that Ireland should probably get the better of England here, but it's a match I think I'll stay away from, as I clearly don't have a
Ireland have won the Six Nations. What are they essentially playing for? That's my problem.
Yeah, I normally I'm with you 100%, but I kind of feel in these kind of things it's to rub your face in it. But there's an England-Ireland rivalry. Exactly, England-Ireland rivalry, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ireland go full steam here just to show them exactly how much better they are. That said, can I trust Ireland to go to Twickenham and win at odds of 9 to 10?
No.
I don't know.
This is another serious to do that at Twickenham, other than say New Zealand. Exactly. Yeah. All right, so after all of that, I mean, you like England there? You fancy them at home just to pick up the result, or are you serious on the Irish coming through?
I don't. I would lean Ireland there, but I think it's I would feel like an absolute arsehole if I backed Ireland to go and win Twickenham and they lost. I can't take Ireland there. I really can't.
It would probably be a big victory either way. like Ireland will smash, England is going to smash.
Exactly. England on a 2-game losing streak, but I still can't back Ireland to go win in England. Not at 9 to 10. 15 to 10 maybe, yeah.
There'll be riots in the streets if Ireland win that game, absolutely. I think. And yeah, the Irish will probably go so well they'll burn Dublin down or something, but yeah. So best bet for the week, Simon. What's your fancy?
Right. Well, after last week's disaster, tennis is always my happy place. And after running cold like I did this weekend, I'm gonna give our listeners a bet from Indian Wells, which I don't normally give out on the podcast. But Nicholas Kicker, he's playing South Africa's Kevin Anderson today. Kevin Anderson is a 1 to 10 favorite to beat the Argentine. Now, obviously, Anderson is by far the most the more accomplished player here, but I really can't see him covering the 5.5 game handicap. Kicker's flying up the ATP ranks, and he's also won both of his first and second round matches against the odds as an underdog. Kevin Anderson very rarely wins any matches by 2 sets to love. And he would have to do that very comfortably for this bet to lose. So I like Kicker plus 5.5 games against Kevin Anderson. So this match starts at 6:30 p.m. So I hope you guys hear this in time. And yeah, if it's already a losing bet by the time you hear this one, you can thank me anyway.
Yeah. All right, so my best bet, I'm going to be going to Super Rugby. I'm going to be going to Cape Town where the Stormers take on the Blues. I can't look past the Stormers at even money here. It's just, it's like I said, I think that there's a complete overreaction to the game that they played. And yes, the Stormers are coming back from playing the Landers where they didn't look particularly bad. It's just, they got beaten by the better side. And I think these sides are fairly even. I just think the Newlands advantage is going to come to show.
Certainly a factor. I mean, over many seasons of Super Rugby, we've always seen Newlands being one of the strongest home stadiums. So I have to agree with you there.
And then my second bet, it ties into the first one. It's going to be Stormers 1-12. Now, I'm not exactly sure what odds you're going to be getting on that because the last I checked, there weren't any out at the moment. But you should be getting some good value, like 18 to 10 around.
The fact it's well, I think because it's a pick'em game, I think you'll probably get closer to 14, 15 to 10. I would imagine. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good look though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I see they are out with some lines now, and the locals do have them as a complete pick'em, but offshore they're slight dogs. So we'll see where that line comes into. But all right, guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Simon, thanks for joining me as always, and have a good one.
Pleasure, Rob. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to visit our site, Facebook and Twitter pages. Let's go make some money.